Welcome. Today on the pod, Ryan.
Watching hours of people shaving off their hair. And I was sort of like analysing them, thinking, oh, I look a little bit like that guy. Maybe this is what I'll look like bald.
And I need to tell you about this. If, like Ryan, you want to go from hiding to thriving, you need to check out my new book, The Power Shift. It's out now and I've linked it down below. It's also got my story woven into it in never before seen detail. Loads of tips to help you through your sticking points like this. The confidence you're searching for is one click away.
My dad went bald at 19, so like proper young. I'm very much like my dad in a lot of ways. So I think the first time I started noticing it was probably when I was around 17. I was in thick form at school. A few people might have started teasing me a bit about it, my mates and stuff. And then I think I went to a barber's and they'd also told me starting to go a bit. It was all good though. Now, it started to definitely get bad when I went to uni. I remember my first year noticing that it's definitely getting worse. I think my hairline was sort of around here. It was starting to sort of creep up slowly. Ex-girlfriend at the time, I sort of asked her as well, and she was like, yeah, you're going. It all started from there. And I think slowly the pace in which that started to go increased. Yeah. And my hair looked awful. I mean, this was at a time as well where unfortunately I'd put on a bit of weight, so I was not looking in my prime. I'd have like a big mop of hair, skin fade, and I'd push these side bits forward. I'd always get them to leave the sides a little bit longer so I could have it forward and a bit messy. And to be fair, it always worked once I was at school, but I think in those first initial uni days, that hairstyle wasn't starting to work as much. Right. You know, you'd always be able to see a gap. And it was the first time I started to get a little bit, I would say I was a little bit self-conscious about my hair.
You said starting to feel a bit self-conscious. How was that like manifesting in your life?
Like, I'd leave the house and if a big gust of wind came, my hair's all over the shop. And it would also annoy me, a haircut where I was living was quite expensive, and I'd get a haircut, I think I look sick, go out, and then one gust of wind, it's all over the shop again. So mentally, I think it probably just added to a general feeling that I had in myself at the time. When it really started to get bad was in my third year of uni. I remember a bit of rain had come or whatever, and I'd noticed that I had a bit of a bald patch. In my third year of uni is when I started to notice, if people took a video and I was in it, I had a huge bald patch just in the back with sort of like wet, straggly hair over the back, like if it was raining or whatever. This was increasing quite quickly, to be honest. Like, it really hit in that third year of my uni. Like, it just started going rapid. I would say I was a little bit self-conscious about it, definitely. I found myself wearing beanies a bit. And to be honest, it wasn't as much about what other people thought of my hair. I think it was more of like an aggravation for myself, having to always fix my hair and try and make it look good again. Walking out of the house, goes everywhere, having to fix it all the time. And it just became an aggravation. Even little things, like, I know this is going back a bit, but like during COVID, everyone was doing buzz cuts and I was too embarrassed to do it because I was thinking, it might not look good because my head shape. Every photo that I was in, I just looked awful. It started to get me down. I felt healthy in myself, but it was my hair that was like letting me down almost. I think at this point, the idea of shaving it has started brewing. I think it had been something that had been in the back of my mind for a little while, but it started to become a reality. Before, I'd always pushed it off and said, you've got a bit more time left. Like, it's going, but you can hang on to it for a bit longer. It got to this sort of period and I was thinking, this is just aggravating. Now, it was just a burden. I think it was getting to the point where it was a burden on my daily life. It brought me no joy because I didn't like it. People would tease me about it and stuff. Again, friendly teasing and stuff, but like, it's also just like another thing that you don't need.
Were you in a relationship at that point still?
At this point, I was single when it was really going. I'm on the scene trying to meet girls at uni and it's not going well. Do you know what I mean? To be fair, I'd always found that girls didn't care, no matter what. As long as you're funny, confident, whatever, you're just sweet. Got to that point, definitely thinking about shaving it off now. And I spoke to my parents about it and I was expecting them to sort of say like, absolutely no way, don't do that. And I think my dad just went, do you know what, mate, just do it. I did it at 19. Day after my 21st birthday, I'm cutting it off. In terms of what was putting me off shaving it, everyone finds sort of little excuses in what they look like themselves that put them off it. So for me, I think the main thing was that my eyebrows are really fair. My eyebrows, because of that won't look good. And people will just look like I've got no hair because I can't really grow a beard properly either. A lot of that was putting me off, and I've got a bit of a flat bit at the back of my head, so I was thinking, that might look weird. I know head shape's like a massive one. Everyone says that their head won't look good in that. And do you know what? At this point, I honestly just thought, like, be gone with it. I don't care anymore. I actually just don't care. Plucked up the courage. I was ready. I was ready. I went into the bathroom. I said to my brother, look, we'll start with a buzz. I think we did maybe like a 3. I used my dad's beard clippers, took off the whole thing. And do you know what? I'd say it was instant relief. Like, it just felt like I was truly me. I'd embraced it. And I was so proud of myself for doing it, because it is a step. I think with like any fear, as soon as you face that fear, you know how good you feel after. I hadn't told anyone about this, I don't think. It was definitely a buzz at this point. But big Widow's Peak, so you can see the whole lot. And I went back to uni expecting people to, make fun of me or whatever, and me to just sort of have to firm it. And do you know what? It wasn't that bad. People would come up and be like, oh my gosh, when did you shave your hair? And I'd be like, oh, I just didn't like it, so I just took it off. Everyone was just like, oh, I like it. And do you know what? Everyone who'd been hating on the idea before, I obviously sort of explained about, I might shave it off at some point, and people will always go, don't shave it off, you look crap. All those people said it looked good in the end. It was a very liberating experience. Even meeting girls that I'd seen at uni and stuff, people who I'd been out with, and seeing them, and me having a shaved head, that was another thing that I thought was a bit of a step. Yeah, it was all fine. Very glad I did it. And it slowly just got shorter and shorter and shorter. And now I rock sort of like a 1. I always just go for like a little bit of a stubble on the top. Sweet, that's it basically.
And the rest is history, kind of.
The rest is history, right?
I got to touch on, obviously, you're doing the DJing and stuff like that, right?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, how have you found out that? Did you find that it was actually like a good thing because you finally felt more comfortable in yourself?
I shaved off my hair just before my first gig. I actually came back home and I said, I'm going to be DJing like at one of my gigs. My dad went, what, are you going to wear a cap? And I was like, what? It's like, I was actually kind of shocked when he said it. I was like, why would I wear a cap? Like, this is me now.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's it. And, I really have adopted that mindset of like, if you don't like it, this is me. Get over it. I did the gig, without my hair, and it went really well. And, from then, the whole DJing thing sort of slowly started spiraling. I've got so used to it, the whole bald thing, that I actually use it as a marketing tool. They will sort of recognise me for the bald look.
Is there something along your journey that you think like really helped you?
One thing for me, I think in the last few years, I learned a lot of lessons about not caring what people think. And that generally came through the music stuff that I was doing. No matter what you do, people are going to talk and tell you not to do stuff. And I think people need to try and get in the mindset of just proving people wrong. Your decision, and at the end of the day, whatever makes you happy is going to be ultimately what decides, how happy you are. Slowly the talk starts to die down as they see you doing well, or not hearing the noise, and just getting on with your life and doing what you want to do. Yeah, in terms of hair transplants and stuff, I wanted to touch on that as well. I saw a mate get one done. I mean, obviously being quite young when I was balding, I didn't know anyone else really who was going through what I was going through. So I'd seen one lad get a transplant. I don't think I even noticed him sort of balding, and I sort of messaged him. I was like, oh, I saw you got a hair transplant, like, how much they cost, how does it work? He was sort of talking about like he'd had a harder experience with hair loss than I had, in terms of, I think, more of a confidence thing. I sort of thought, do you know what, I'll go and have a look. And I went to 2 places. I came out with 2 main conclusions of why I wouldn't do it. I came very close. I wanted to be like my true form, like my true self. Yeah, that bit actually became one of my main points. It does sound so far-fetched. I know it sounds a bit stupid, but yeah, I just wanted people to like me in my true form, how I was meant to be. Do you see what I'm saying? So
yeah, no, totally get it, mate. Yeah.
But I'm definitely not against like hair transplants at all. I mean, I think if it's something that really cripples you in terms of like, it's really bad and you feel like that is the only option, absolutely do it. I just do think they're going to shave your head anyway to do the transplant. You might as well just rock a bald head for a year and just see how it's fun. And honestly, if you do it, it's the most liberating feeling. And I promise, if you rock it with confidence, people are sort of attracted to you in a certain way. So you'll end up becoming way more confident than you ever were. That's my take on it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, man.
No, honestly, thank you so much for having me on as well. Like, honestly, I can't say how many of these vids I watched. I was on my sofa in my house watching hours of people shaving off their hair. And I was sort of like analysing them, thinking, oh, I look a little bit like that guy. Maybe this is what I'll look like bald. Like, it's so mad how much time I put into thinking about what that would look like. And now I would go into the bathroom and just raise the whole thing off zero. The confidence levels that it gives you is different. And yeah, obviously those videos helped me a lot, which is why I wanted to come on here, because I know a lot of people sort of watch those videos before they make a decision like that. I'll get questions now from my mates and people and mates about, you know, how I felt when I shaved off my hair and why did I do it and all this stuff. And I know they're thinking about it. And a lot of them will just say, oh, I can't do that. You've got to try, mate, because I promise you it's not that bad. Times where I felt sexiest in my life have been when I've been bald. Just got to rock it.
Excellent. Perfect.